Here, Gary, this is yours. I have one on. Ladies and gentlemen, can you please settle down? I'll just go over the format briefly. A lot of my traditional ones are already here, but before I formally introduce the Prime Minister, Gary Mueller of Institutional Investor will say a few words, and then Sushant of the WF will say a few words. Then I will say a few brief words for the Prime Minister. He will have a 15, 20-minute dialogue, and then a question-answer session, and then I'll sum up. So, Gary, without further ado, go.
Ikram, thank you very much. And good morning and welcome to our breakfast discussion with the Prime Minister of Pakistan. We're delighted to have him here. My name is Gary Mueller. I'm CEO of Institutional Investor. For those who don't know, we're a publishing and media company founded about 41 years ago. If you were wondering, no, I was not the founder. I think I wasn't even able to read at that point in time. We have about 27 different publications, of which our flagship is Institutional Investor magazine. And we are very interested in Pakistan because we're going to be doing a Pakistani report coming up in the spring. So I look forward to hearing what the Prime Minister has to say for that. We'd like to welcome Prime Minister Gailani here. As you know, he was elected Prime Minister in March of 2008. Prior to that, he had been in jail for 5 years under the previous administration. In subsequent Bhutto governments, he was Speaker of the National Assembly. He was Minister of Housing. He was Minister of Tourism. And he's done many other things in his long political career. In addition to that, he's the father of 5 children. And being a father of 5 children myself, but more recently so, I really appreciate the work that entails. Like the rest of the world, Pakistan is facing many challenges. As you know, GDP for the last 4 years was growing quite nicely, growing at about 6%. This year, it's forecasted to be around 2.5%, might even be a little lower. At least it's positive. Inflation spiked at 23% in December. It's come down a bit, but it's still an issue, and certainly an issue that a lot of our readers are concerned about. Foreign reserves dropped to $6 billion in November. They've come back up after the IMF agreement. They're up to about $10 billion, but it's still something that a lot of people are a little concerned about. Clearly, terrorism is a big issue, and not only for Pakistan, for the world, and that's one that I know Mr. Gailani is facing and dealing with. And of course, there's unemployment, healthcare, education, and a bunch of other issues that he's addressing. Here to ask the Prime Minister is our friend Ikram Segal. Thank you for the introduction, Ikram. Ikram, as you know, runs a publishing company in Pakistan called Davos, and he's our partner in Pakistan and a good friend of ours. We're delighted to work with him on this issue. And I'd also like to introduce Sushant Rao, who's with the World Economic Forum, who he runs all of Asia for the World Economic Forum. And he's going to say a few words about Pakistan because he just recently went there.
Thank you for that kind introduction, and it's an honor to be together with His Excellency, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, and Mr. Sehgal. And thank you for this hospitality. And I'm particularly delighted to be able to share some words with you. As Gary just mentioned, in December, I spoke at the Management Association of Pakistan's annual gathering in Karachi. And I'd like to just leave you with 3 points to underscore why the forum remains very committed to Pakistan, why it is an economy ripe with opportunities, and not to forget also it's a place which is open for business. And I was very warmly received. I went to Pakistan twice last year. And I'd like to give you 3 statistics which are also mentioned in the studies of the World Economic Forum, which we do in competitiveness. Firstly, if we look at the GDP per capita development of Pakistan and compare it to the region, it is one of the strongest in the region. It has steadily risen over the years, and that's factor number 1. Number 2, we have another study on the Financial Development Index, And this is looking at the accessibility to capital, the effective financial intermediation and markets. And in our last report, Pakistan ranked number 34, which really puts it up at the top of the group. It puts it ahead economies such as Turkey, the Russian Republic, and Vietnam, which is another fast-growing economy in Asia. Finally, in these times where a lot of the headlines suggest doom and gloom, our competitive studies also always underscore that one of the factors that help an economy to overcome such difficult times are large market size. And this is where Pakistan, with its population, with its youthful population, has tremendous opportunities to achieve economies of scale. So with that in mind, I would like to turn back over to Gary, and hope that underscores for you why we are very committed to Pakistan.
Okay, I'll introduce.
Ikram, we're going to turn it over to you.
Yeah. First of all, thank you all who always come to my breakfast in the morning. Early morning, if you have 130, 140 people in the room, that's a plus point. A few weeks ago, I requested the Prime Minister, he was very kind and came here. I'd like to, at this time, to especially acknowledge some people who I really, really look up to for having supported me all these years. I look up to my Indian friends. Nand and Jeet are here. Then Tavleen is here. Ajit couldn't make it today. And Adi Godrej is here. And I'm especially honored that Sonia Bata came here. We have a town named after her grandfather, Batapur. Among the Pakistanis who are here, the regulars, Zakir, and then somebody that really has put his money where his mouth is, Arif Naqvi. People invest outside the country. Arif came and invested inside the country, over $300 million into KESC, and that is something that one really acknowledges. I want to acknowledge Anand Mahindra, who is here today, and especially came at short notice. I want to thank the Pakistan mission here, Zamir Akram, Ambassador Zamir Akram. I want to mention Aftab Khokar, who's put this thing together. Among the people who were really this thing, Beatrice just left, I think. Sushant, thank you for coming. Christoph Sprung is here, and I acknowledge that. It's a great show of confidence in Pakistan because people who are here are really interested in Pakistan, and Pakistan is going through difficult times. I'd like to tell you that I'm usually blunt about things, and when the Prime Minister became the Prime Minister, we were a bit, we knew his background, political background, what he had done, etc., and it was impeccable. But even then, to go into a Prime Minister's this thing, but he surprised us. And he surprised us positively. And that one must acknowledge. The question is, will he continue to surprise us? Because we want a zero sum towards corruption. We want zero sum towards terrorism. And these are great challenges which the Prime Minister has to take it up. I think he has the courage, he has the drive. I'd like to mention, that last year I actually was dragged out of retirement by, one of our outstanding young leaders, Hina Rabbani Kar, our Minister of State. She encouraged me to have this breakfast. And, last year I told General Musharraf when he was sitting here next to me that why don't you join me playing golf and go fishing? Unfortunately, he's gone fishing and playing golf and left me behind. But with that, Prime Minister, I'll give it to you. Yes. It's all right. You got a mic. You got this mic.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Ikram Saigal, Mr. Gary Myler, Mr. Shushnath, federal ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm really grateful to our host who has provided me this opportunity early in the morning to get this opportunity to express my views in your presence. In fact, I'm really grateful for the host for promoting Pakistan since a long time, and they are our ambassadors. They are working for Pakistan, and I, on behalf of the government of Pakistan, pay tribute to them for organizing such a wonderful gathering. In fact, this gathering is from all walks of life, and in the World Economic Forum, I had the opportunity of, on the sidelines, I had the opportunity of inviting the business community over a lunch. I had the opportunity of inviting the media people across the whole world, and we had a lot of discussion with them. And I had the opportunity of meeting the world leaders as well. And I think this is a golden opportunity on the World Economic Forum. On the sidelines, you get plenty of opportunities like this, so where we can have more interactions and more understanding about each other. In fact, when I met the media friends yesterday, and there were a lot of perception about Pakistan. And even when I met over a luncheon meeting with the business community, they had some sort of reservations and about the image of Pakistan. Then a lot of our friends from companies, they got up and they said that we have invested in Pakistan, or we have been to Pakistan several times. As somebody has mentioned that he has visited Pakistan twice in 1 year. That's the opportunity where you can discuss, and you can, whatever the reservations are can be dispelled. In fact, I want to tell you that the priority number one for Pakistan is democracy. Last year, as my friend Saigil has rightly mentioned about President Musharraf, who ruled Pakistan for about 8 to 9 years, and he was not elected, but at the same time, he got himself endorsed through referendum, which is not the part of the Constitution. But we are not bitter, though throughout his tenure, I was in incarceration, I was in jail, but I was not bitter at all, because when I was the vice chairman of Benazir Bhutto, and I worked with her, and when we gave our manifesto, that was for the freedom, for the liberty, and for democracy. And that our manifesto was successful. And on the 18th February, people voted for the democratic forces in the country, and we won the elections. And that proves our point that we were compensated, and we won the election. And not only we won the election, when I had to have a vote of confidence, and that was for the first time in history of Pakistan, I was unanimously elected as the Prime Minister of Pakistan. That's a good, healthy sign that now we are we expect the world for the democratic dividends also. All the political forces, the democratic forces, they formed the broad-based government in the center and as well as in the provinces. Now, there are a lot of people that discuss about Pakistan, but they forget about this, that Pakistan is a very successful state, and all their institutions are working under the ambit of the Constitution. And the media is totally free, and they can, when I got elected as unanimous Prime Minister, the first question the media put me was, now, who is your opposition? I said, I would appreciate if you become my opposition and you, for a healthy criticism, whatever you have to guide me, I'll be more than happy about the role of the media. And since then, the media had always been pointing out good things about the country, and whatever the incapacity we are, we follow it. And therefore, the media is playing a very positive role in Pakistan, and very active role. And that's, we can call it as a media activism. And we have also, during the past government, that there had been some draconian laws on media, and we are abolishing them, and we are giving them more liberty. And our more focus is on the empowerment of the ladies. That was the manifesto of Benazir Bhutto, and we are doing that. And that's one of the reasons now you have seen that in Pakistan, Benazir Bhutto was Prime Minister twice. And so the Speaker of the National Assembly of Pakistan is a lady. And the Minister of State for Finance and Economic Affairs sitting right in front of you, she's a lady. And there are Information Minister and Population Welfare Minister and Social Welfare Ministers and other ministers, they are ladies, and majority, and there are a lot of ladies, they are in the parliament. And even in the Senate, which previously we didn't have the ladies in the upper house, but this time we have a lady. She is also from our party, Pakistan People's Party. And in the coming new elections, we are also considering to have another lady in the parliament. And through that, to empower the ladies, we have initiated our program, and that is the Benazir Bhutto Income Sports Program. And that's extremely is popular, and that's people who are living beyond in the level of poverty. They have lesser means to support themselves. We have fixed some amount for them, and that would be given through the ladies. And the head of the family, the lady, would be given that amount. And we are also considering for the health insurance, and that too would be routed through the lady. That we want to give more powers. And even at the workplace, when they used to harass ladies, we are making some legislation that they should have the equal rights with the men, and they should be considered to be the most effective, and they should contribute a lot in the society. And similarly, there had been a lot of restrictions earlier, like students' unions were banned, trade unions were banned, labor unions were banned. We immediately lifted those bans, and even the judges, they were under house arrest. And the day I became Prime Minister, before taking oath, and I said that tomorrow this would be my first order, that to release the judges. They were released there and then at the same time, before even taking oath. That's what we contributed. And at the same time, we are making laws in the country. We're doing legislation. Even those people who were victimized during art, and those who got employed during our time or during Nawaz Sharif's time, we got them reinstated. They got the jobs. They're not in hundreds, they are in thousands. And we want to compensate them because they have struggled for democracy. And even for the judiciary, when President Musharraf imposed emergency in the country, Benazir Bhutto flew from Dubai and came back to Pakistan, and she ordered for a long march for their rights. And I was the one who led the procession in from Lahore, and I was arrested. And for the judiciary, I spent 3 nights in jail, and later my house was declared a sub-jail, and anti-terrorist act was applied on me because that was a serious offense which I did. In fact, about the economy, there was a global recession earlier. During last year, there was oil prices went up, and the food commodities gone up, and it was extremely difficult for the underdeveloped countries and developing countries, and we had to suffer a lot along with the others as well. But we immediately diversified our economy towards agriculture. And at the same time, we tightened our ropes, and we withdrew the subsidies, and we wanted to set our monetary policies in the right directions so that we should have a good governance. And now the recent recession, by the time the whole world is under this recession and hit by this recession, global recession, and we had already done some good job and tightened our fiscal policies and no borrowing from the state banks. Therefore, we were readily accepted under the fold of the IMF. And on the very first the 3 months progress, that's very satisfactory. And we have achieved our targets. Even we have achieved a little beyond that. And that's we are moving towards the right direction. Therefore, now there are a lot of opportunities. Strategically, we are located in a position where we have the access to Central Asia. And we have the ports like Gwadar, and that's the opening for the Central Asian Republic. And we have made it operational. Very recently, we had made it operational. And I think that would be extremely beneficial for the country. And as a port, it's extremely important. At the same time, we have some challenges which we have to convert them to opportunities. And those challenges at the moment is the electricity shortage. And there's a lot of load shedding in the country because electricity you can't buy in one day. It takes a planning. And we are in 1994, when Benazir Bhutto was the prime minister, during those times there was a similar sort of a problem. And she started this independent power plants policy. And she invited a lot of investors from all over the world to invest in Pakistan. And they did invest in Pakistan. Otherwise, she would have not given those power plants during her time, now we would have been living in a stone age. And when I was in jail, I read in the television in jail that Pakistan's government is trying to sell electricity to India. Thank God they did not sell to India. Otherwise, we are running short of electricity even at the moment. And there are rights at times. But we have formulated policies to have a barge mountain electricity power plants, even solar energy power plants. Tharpol is one of the biggest facility in Pakistan we can offer. And I had already had a meeting in the World Bank, and they are also planning to come in a big way. There are a lot of investors, and I also invite people that we have got a very friendly policy regarding power policy, and one should take the maximum benefit out of that policy as well. And this time we had a bumper crop of rice, and there is a storage capacity for Pakistan to store such a bumper crop, and we are trying to export it. And certainly the government is moving in a right direction. And at the same time, we are considering for legislation, even the Constitution giving more powers to the provinces for provincial autonomy. And there had been some dichotomy. When President Musharraf came, he tilted all his powers to the presidency, and there is a loud thinking that there should be the amendment which he made during his time, that we should undo them, and the Pakistan People's Party is committed that to undo the 17th Amendment and to have the balance of power between the presidency and the parliament. Therefore, we are also going in the right direction. And this is for the first time in Pakistan that earlier when in 2002 when there was a parliament, there was new elections, and the leader of the opposition, who is now our senior minister sitting amongst us, is the commerce minister. He had the majority, and he was supposed to be the leader of the opposition, but they did not made him the leader of the opposition for 2 years. And later, when even they did not made him, they made somebody else. But when I came into power, I declared the leader of the opposition on the very first day. And he was made the leader of the opposition. And not only we made him leader of the opposition, that we created a history of giving the accountability, as my friend Saigil has mentioned, that accountability should be very transparent. We give the chairmanship of the accountability Public Accounts Committee to the leader of the opposition, so that our accountability, one should be done by the media, the other should be done by the opposition. And that is what we are doing. There had been draconian law, that was National Accountability Bureau, through which they used to put their opponents in jails, through which I suffered, even the president suffered. He spent 8 years in jail, I spent 5 years in jail, and there are a lot of other political leaders who was put to jails, who used to compromise, their cases were withdrawn, and who didn't compromise, they were kept till the last in the jail. And even till today, that case still exists, and I'm facing it. But for transparency, the NAP, which was under the chief executive, under me, I transferred it to the Ministry of Justice, Law and Justice, and I'm ordered for making legislation on that, and that should be extremely transparent. And according to the Charter of Democracy, which was signed by Benazir Bhutto and Mia Muhammad Nawaz Sharif, who is from the leader of the opposition's side, that they signed that the accountability should be transparent, and nobody should even point a finger that there's somebody that has been victimized, because victimization and accountability that's very close to each other. Therefore, we said that there should be legislation along with the opposition, and there should be a judge of the High Court or a Supreme Court, or a person likely to be judge who can able to become a judge, should head that commission, and from both sides of the divide of the parliament should accept him, and then he should do the accountability, and legislation will soon be put to the House. And we want a transparency, we want accountability, we want good governance, we want that all the institutions should work under the ambit of the Constitution, and we want that all the organs of the state, they should work according to the law, and we want that there should be more investment in Pakistan. The biggest challenge, I come to the point, is the terrorism and extremism. Now the world should understand, if we don't fight extremism or terrorism, that means we are the guarantee. Pakistan strategically in a position, in a front state line, for fighting against extremism and terrorism. Strategically, we are on the border of Afghanistan. If we don't fight, there is no problem for us. But the problem is for the peace, progress, and prosperity of the whole world. We are paying a heavy price for that. We are paying a price. When there is one suicidal bomb attack in Islamabad or any part of the country, there is a flight of capital. And there are less investments because you all are scared that Pakistan is not a safe place. But why it is not a safe place? Because we are fighting extremism and terrorism for you. We are doing it for you. And that is for the world we are doing it. And at the same time, we are paying a heavy price in return, because are thousands of soldiers and law enforcement agencies. They have been killed. They have been injured. And the NATO forces who are fighting in Afghanistan, they all combined together of the whole world. Their casualties and their injuries are less than Pakistan alone. Pakistan gave more life for fighting terrorism and extremism because the terrain is so difficult. It is 2,400 kilometers. We have deployed 112,000 troops on the border. We have 1,000 checkposts. We have introduced a biometric system. And across the border, we are fighting the Chechens. We are fighting the Uzbeks. We are fighting the Arabs. We are fighting the Taliban's. And we are fighting with militants. And that's the heavy price we are paying for that. And yet, because it's a popularly elected government, and we have the support of the masses, and when I have a strategy of 3 Ds. Number one is dialogue, because I want to tell the world that army action alone is not the answer for peace. Therefore, we should have a political dialogue with non-militants. And number two is we have to go into the root cause. What are the real problems? What are the real threats? Why terrorism is taking place? That is, we have to fight the root cause for that. And that is development. There is a poverty, there is a hunger, there is a disease, and there is unemployment and less opportunities, no access to the market, and therefore the world should understand that we don't need an aid. We don't need an aid. We need a trade. We should have access to the market, so that the people of those areas should come up to the level of other areas. And at the same time, the last D is the deterrence. When the writ of the government is challenged, like in Swat, you must be reading in the newspapers, Swat is not a very big place. But here, while sitting here, when you talk about Swat, that shows as a country. And therefore, people are a lot of concern for that. Even in Swat, in certain areas, like in Mingora and some places where there are militants, and we have ordered for army action, and the army action is taking place. And even in the FATA areas, the army actions, when it was ordered, unlike the previous government, we had the full backing and the support of the masses, of the people of those areas. They raised huge lashkars in support of the military action, so people don't want militancy or extremism or terrorism in the country. And even the tribes, today I want to put it on the record, 99.9% of the tribes of FATA and in Pakistan, they are loyal, they are nationalist, they are pro-Pakistan, they are supporting Pakistan, but only handfuls of people, there are about 1%, there are hardly 1%, who are militants and who wants to destabilize the system. But at the same time, when I became member of the National Assembly for the first time, and I was a minister too, at that time there was a pressure from the United States and the world that we should not grow poppy. We, at that time, claimed that what should be the alternate? Some alternate crop or alternate should be given to the area of NWFP where there was a poppy growing area. And when there was an alternate given to them, now there is no more poppy in Pakistan, but the majority is on across the border and not with us. Therefore, we have to have an alternate be given to the people of those areas. If you have to eliminate terrorism and extremism, only force is not the answer, because when as a child I read the force should be kept in the background and it should not be put into practice all the times. If it is put into practice all the times, the authority will be eroded and then nobody will take force seriously. Therefore, we have to have a mixture of politics, dialogue, development, and deterrence. That is my policy. And in the end, I again want to thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for sparing this opportunity early in the morning. You came here for a breakfast meeting, which I don't think so that you have taken proper, but I'm deprived of that at the moment. And thank you very much.
Thank you. At this time, I'd also, a bit amiss, I have not recognized one of our titans of our industry, Hossein Dawood, and Kulsum, his wife, is here, and I'm very grateful to them. Also, our senior minister, Mr. Makhdoom Amin Fahim, is here. Naveed Qamar is here. I must recognize them. They are people who stalwarts, who, along with Mr. Yusuf Razan Galani, fought for democracy for 9 long years, went to in and out of jail, etc. And one must recognize that.
Naveed Qamar was Minister for Privatization, was my computer instructor in jail.
And I also want to thank George Soros. George came specially, and I really am grateful to you, because that's the amount of interest that is in Pakistan, and I really admire that. And please, missed anybody, please forgive me, because this is an occasion one doesn't get. Prime Minister, there are going to be question and answers, and I know people want to talk to you, and I know a lot of people, mainly the issue is terrorism, and you've described it very well. I was yesterday talking to the Minister for State for Commerce, and I said, our Prime Minister is like a thoroughbred horse. He takes some warming up and then he gets going, but then he gets going, then he's got the loneliness of the long distance runner. So I will request our long distance runner to answer questions. If anybody has got any questions, please identify yourself. Please, Edith, and thank you, Edith, of course. Edith is one of my regulars. She comes. Yes. Will you get a mic, please? I'll get a mic for you. Yeah. Just give the mic here. Can you get the mic? Build fast.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. Edith Lederer from the Associated Press. Pakistan's become a major issue in the United States, and there's a new president and a new administration. There's been some questions about how interventionist the U.S. wants to be to try and end terrorism, what they're going to be doing to support Pakistan militarily and economically. I wonder if you've had any discussions with the Obama administration yet, and what your expectations are for the relationship that Pakistan would like to see with the new United States government.
In fact, I have met less my parliamentarians than I have met the Congress people from United States. I had the opportunity of meeting all of them. And therefore, I'm in touch with the Obama administration. The Vice President Biden, he visited Pakistan, and we had a lot of discussion with him. And even on the operational side, General Petraeus and Admiral Mullen and a lot of congressmen, they met me. I briefly met Mr. Clinton yesterday, and we had, in fact, Obama's few of the statements we appreciated. And after becoming, I have even met President Obama when he was in the middle of the election campaign, and I visited Washington, and he came from his campaign, and he met me in my hotel, and we had lots of discussion with him. And in fact, Obama's is a hope for the world, and people have voted for a change. And change of the policies of the previous, like ours, government's previous policies, the same was the previous policies of the former administration of the United States. People have voted for hope and change. And his statement regarding to win the hearts and minds of the people, and especially of the Muslims, that was a very good statement. And the Muslims world, they really appreciated it. And at the same time, There was another Guantanamo Bay, he closed it. That was very well taken in the world, and that's a change. And he appointed a special envoy for the region. Terrorism is a regional issue. It is not confined to only 1 or 2 countries. It is confined to region, and the regional solution to be adopted. What you said that we expect from President Obama, that when G8 countries are taking or the developed countries are talking about global recession, we also want that the developing countries should be on board for taking decisions. Therefore, this is a regional issue, and regional approach should be applied to this. And lastly, what I expect is that to assure you that we have a will and we have the ability to fight terrorism. But there is a problem of capacity. Capacity in the sense that when the military action is over, then the vacuum to be filled by the law enforcement agencies, like the Frontier Corps and the Frontier Constabulary. That should be strengthened, that the capacity of the police to be enhanced, so that that is the permanent solution for a country. And we have a multidimensional cooperation with the United States, and we want to enhance our cooperation with the United States, but the regional approach should be applied.
I'd like just to add that, Prime Minister, you just missed and the importance the United States gives to this administration. Valerie Jarrett was supposed to be here. She missed you by a few minutes. And she's Valerie Jarrett, who is the closest confidant of President Obama, but she had to go somewhere and she had to miss you. Any other question?
One second follow-up. Are you expecting to meet Mr. Holbrooke soon? Have you seen
He is coming to Pakistan on 9th.
Yeah, please, Tavleen. Here.
Prime Minister, Tavleen Singh, I live in Bombay, and I, on behalf of a lot of people who live in Bombay, feel almost obliged to ask you this question. If you are serious about dealing with terrorism, as you say you are, then why do we constantly get from your government denial about Pakistani involvement in the attack on Bombay, which is one of the most horrific acts of terrorism ever seen in India, and in which there is very clear evidence, not given just by the Indian government, but by the American government. And yet, till yesterday, there is denial. Your High Commissioner in London, I believe, has said that that the dossier that India has given you is complete nonsense. So do you share that view, and would you like to explain why in such a serious matter there's nothing done?
Actually, it's an extremely unfortunate incident in Mumbai, and we condemn it. And at the same time, I immediately talked to Dr. Manmohan Singh, because when such sort of a terrorist activity took place in Marriott Hotel in Islamabad, he was the first person who rang me up and condoled for the death of innocent lives in Marriott Hotel Islamabad. I also rang him up, and we were totally concerned because our resolve is to fight extremism and terrorism. And at the same time, we were coming quite close to India, and we were having confidence building measures with India. And now you can very well understand who is the beneficiary out of all such things. Is the terrorist, and we both the countries who were coming close to each other, we lost that opportunity. But at the same time, when we were talking about specific about the dossier, you took about 42 days for the investigation. And we received the dossier on 5th of January. And immediately the dossier, that means the information, mere information is not the evidence. But at the same time, we immediately referred it to the Ministry of Interior for investigation, And I'm certain that very, very soon, and that in investigation will give the results, and we'll share it with India and with the rest of the world.
Sorry, your High Commissioner.
Tavleen, if somebody else got a question, please. Can you take the mic, please?
Imam Abu Isa from England. Assalamu alaikum, respected Prime Minister. I want to ask you a question. My ethnic origin and my parents are from Mingwara itself, the one that you mentioned in Swat. I used to spend quite a bit of time visiting and touring there. As you know, it's one of the main tourist attractions in Pakistan. What's happened there has been very, very distressing for many, many of the expatriates and many, many Pakistanis who are living abroad and so on. But we're confused. I am very confused. I have not been able to go back to Swat for 3 years due to the violence that's there and due to my position against many of the extremists who are now effectively running that area. I want to ask you, over this last 2008, what real steps have you done, as well as the army, to sincerely deal with the problem of the Taliban extremism, at the same time to sincerely engage in dialogue with those who renounce violence? And the reason I ask you this, and I know that you mentioned it before and you said that you believe in a combination of both, I challenge you that not only has the Swat area, well known to the rest of the world, been completely neglected, its roads have been neglected, its development has been neglected over the last, a decade, you could say. You said that poverty is going to breed that kind of situation, but we're getting very distressing and sad conflicting signals of the army being complicit in the killing and the massacre of villagers in Swat, whilst when Taliban people would come in, and I'm saying this firsthand because I have relatives there who speak to me on the phone, that Taliban extremists would come in and attack people that they thought had sold them out to the government, and the army sits by. The army sat by and did not do anything. They are saying that we do not know whose agenda is being played, what is going on, in a state of immense confusion. I think that we deserve to know exactly what the policy is, as opposed to something which is a soundbite for the world media.
Yeah. In fact, when I came into power for the first time, I heard this, that there are some people, the militants, are disturbing the peace in that area. During that time, for the first time ever, the provincial government had an agreement with the mullahs, with the religious people, and they had an agreement, and they promised each other that they will not do any violation. But that agreement never worked. That means the first part, that was a political dialogue, that failed. That was unfortunate. When the agreement took place between the provincial government and the local religious people, that didn't work. And again, the things started becoming bad again. Then there was an army action when the rate of the government was challenged, and the girls' schools were blown up, and the only skiing resort which I got the opening of as a Minister for Tourism, that was also blown up. Then we took this army action, and because some of the militants, it's a congested sort of a city area where they are living with each other in their respective houses, and the army has some constraints to hit those areas. And I've talked to General Kiani, and very soon we'll forming a new strategy, and I assure you that we'll overcome this problem.
But Kenneth, you got a question? Kenneth Roth of Human Rights
Yes.
Watch.
Ken Roth from Human Rights Watch. Mr. Prime Minister, yesterday when you were asked about the relationship between the government and the military and the ISI, you said that you were all aligned in the same direction. That was a somewhat more optimistic answer than you had given when the two of us met 6 months ago in Karachi. So I wanted, if I could, to probe you a bit on that, because still the ISI has disappeared, scores of people who remain disappeared, torture remains a problem. There are at least elements of the ISI and the military who are closing their eyes to the Taliban and to the jihadists. And my question to you is really, what is the civilian government doing to reassert the rule of law over the military and the ISI? And second, the fact that the US earmarks so much of its money directly for the military, is that undermining your effort? And would it be better if US assistance were given simply to the civilian government to distribute at its discretion?
In fact, you have talked about the ISI, and yesterday when I met the media friends, they also asked the similar question, that you wanted to contain ISI and to bring it under the civil government and under the control of the civilian government, but it didn't work. The ISI is directly answerable to the Prime Minister, and we didn't want to bring it under the civilian, means the Ministry of Interior, because we don't have a Minister for Interior, we have the Advisor Interior. And when there is no minister, then the Prime Minister is the minister himself. Therefore, the ISI is directly answerable to the Prime Minister of Pakistan. Therefore, the perception about that there is no cohesion between the army and ISI and the civil government, it's not correct. And at the same time, from the US administration, we expect that there was a Biden-Lugar bill, which was moved, it's a bipartisan. And when I met President Obama during his election campaign, and we said that we want to work with you, and he also said that we want to work with Pakistan, he said that the blue litmus test is that is a co-sponsored bill. It is sponsored by both by both the Republican and the Democrats. That is the enough proof that we want to work with Pakistan. And I would expect that it should be expedited, though it's not a Biden-Lugar bill, nor it's a Kerry-Lugar bill. That should be expedited, and that more development should take place in those areas which are deprived areas. And the people, you have to win the hearts and minds of the people, according to President Obama. That is the only way forward. So the people should realize that United States is with us and they're not against us, because they should win their hearts, and they should realize that they are not only hitting them, they are also doing their favor to them for their development too.
Anybody else? Any other questions? Yes, please. Get a mic, please. Pass the mic, please.
Thank you very much. Bridget Kendall from BBC. I wanted to follow up on this question of relations with the new US administration, because you talked about winning hearts and minds, but of course another controversial part of US policy, particularly from President Obama, is his insistence that Afghanistan and the instability there must become top priority, sending more US troops, and also dealing with the problem of militants on the Pakistan side of the border, including the right for the US to use military strikes. So how do you want to continue your discussion with the US administration on this? Do you accept that this is going to be part of an Obama administration's policy? Or is this going to be a sticking point which is going to make your relations with the Obama administration difficult?
In fact, the focus of President Obama and our focus and our resolve is the same, to fight against extremism and terrorism. In fact, what you have said, that they are sending more troops to Afghanistan, it is the matter between Afghanistan and United States, and I can't comment on that point. But as far as Pakistan is concerned, we are very successfully isolating the militants from the local tribes, and we are keeping the tribes on the right side. And as you have mentioned, that on the borders, if there are attacks, within the territory of Pakistan, it is a sovereign country. And there is no such agreement between the Obama's administration and my government. Therefore, that would not be useful. That would be counterproductive. Therefore, when the NATO forces are fighting in Afghanistan for the last 5.5 years, you have seen that there's no good results at the moment, and there is no progress at the moment. And there is no progress at all, rather the things have been deteriorated. Therefore, my policy would be, and when I'll meet them, I'll suggest them that this policy would not be beneficial for winning a war. Rather, it will be a hindrance in winning a war. That's my point of view.
Right. Ms. Bhatta, can you have the mic, please? Can you just pass the mic from the table?
The Batapur is on there.
Ms. Bhatta, honor of Ms. Bhatta.
The Bharat organization has been involved in Pakistan for many, many years. And we are trying to make consumer goods which people can afford to buy. We feel this is our role. And I just want to mention that we are very positive. We are putting new machinery in our Badapur factories. We are opening new stores because we feel that as a business, the way how we can contribute to the country is by creating jobs. If there are jobs, there is stability. If there is stability, hopefully we'll have much less political unrest. That's what I would
I
like to say.
totally agree with you that there should be more policies of giving more jobs to people, and jobs will create the jobs will bring stability, and we are formulating policies through which we'll be giving lot of jobs to people. And for your information, that I spent 5 years in jail because of giving jobs to people.
Okay, I'll have a last question because anybody? Last question? Okay. I'll then, Prime Minister, thank you very much. I just want to summarize and end, and I just want to, two people, sometimes they're unsung heroes. Malik Abdullah has been very kind, and behind him, the Foreign Secretary, in getting this thing together. Fresh ideas into the Foreign Office. And I think we need that fresh thing in the diplomacy, because credible diplomacy is only built on credible democracy. And credibility is entirely built on that. I want to thank everybody here, particularly people who have come long distances. I just want to end with a thought that we need your support. The Prime Minister has expressed it very well. We need your support in the world. Ground zero of terrorism is Pakistan. We are facing the brunt of it. And I run a security company, the largest one in Pakistan, and I know what it is. It's not a question, I told the other day, it's not a question of my guards only guarding them. My guards come from the disturbed areas, from Mingora and from Dir and Bajor. And those families I have to worry about. So it's a two-way sword. Thank you very much, Prime Minister, for being here. And thank you, everybody, for making this spectacle success.